It's time. Time for another recent reads video. We're gonna catch up. And guess what? I had a surprising 5-star read and a surprising DNF. So if you're ready, we're gonna talk about all the things. So get yourself a snack and or a beverage and let's talk about them. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Nakia. Welcome to my channel. So yes, we're going to talk about everything I read and of course DNF'd during the months of Halloween, spooky season, fall books, all the things. And believe me, you know me, I have lots of opinions, lots of thoughts. And in case you missed my community post, this video is a little late because I had audio issues. My microphone died on me last week. I mean, I've had it for years. I just got a replacement, same microphone because it served me well for 3 years. These things happen, you know, technology, that's how it goes. But I am so glad this was a quick, easy fix and we back in the game. We are ready. So without further ado, let's get on into these books. Now, in case you're new here, I usually start with DNFs and work my way up to my highest rated books of the months. But this time it's going to be a little bit different. I am going to start with DNFs and a book that's on hold. And then I'm going to go into some children's books I read for spooky season. And then we'll go into my books in order from lowest to highest. Sound good? All right. So first up, we have Tales from Valley View Cemetery by John Brell. Unfortunately, this one is on hold. I talked about this in my October TBR video. I really wanted to get to this book. I picked it up. I read 2 stories. One was 2 stars for me and one was 4. So I was ready to read some more to see how I felt about this collection as a whole. But unfortunately, I just ran out of time and October was just a busy month. I also had a cold and some other stuff. So things just didn't go as I planned. But I do want to return to this book sometime in the near future, so stay tuned for that. Now, time for the DNFs. Like I said, I had one that was surprising. I mean, kind of, but kind of not. Anyway, we're going to talk about that one in a second. First up, this one, I did not read much. I wasn't even going to talk about it because I read so little. I felt like there was no point. But because I mentioned it in my fall TBR video, I wanted you to know I did attempt it, just wasn't for me. And that book is Enola Holmes Book 1 by Serena Blasco. This is a middle grade graphic novel series. I thought it was going to be so cozy because of the illustrations. I was just so like, oh, this is going to be perfect. I should have paid attention to the font, the print. But I mean, look at this. I didn't necessarily think this was a fall book per se, but the illustrations for some reason gave me fall vibes. But anyway, I did find out when I started reading this that this book is about Enola Holmes, who is the sister to Sherlock Holmes. And in this book, her mom goes missing. Well, in the first book of this one that has 3 of the books included. So this one has the case of the missing Marquess, the case of the left-handed lady, and the case of the bizarre bouquets. So like I said, I was reading a little bit of the case of the missing Marquess, who is her mom. Like I said, the font is teeny tiny. I was like, how am I supposed to be to read this even with my glasses? But anyway, I proceeded because again, I was into the illustrations and you know, I wanted to, there's my cat. It's her awaking hours. So what are you doing back there, Buffett? I'm trying to film. Baby, what you doing? Okay, bye. She decided to leave me. Okay, anyway, like I said, the font was tiny, but I decided to go on because I wanted to enjoy the illustrations and I thought it would still be cozy. But in this one, I mean, I guess I didn't really care about the mystery of what happened to her mom. And when her 2 brothers showed up to help her try to figure out what was going on, they were talking about like the mom stole some stuff and they were just kind of snarky with each other, not sweet sibling. You know, it just didn't give me cozy vibes. And then also they are way older than her. So I was like, why are they being mean to their younger sister? You're too old for that. But anyway, it wasn't cozy. It wasn't giving me what I wanted. So I decided this ain't for me. I got to page 11 and called it a day. And yes, I did forget when I did my fall TBR that this was made into a Netflix movie. Thank you to those who reminded me. It's a movie with Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill. I do remember seeing a trailer or seeing it on Netflix somewhere, but didn't interest me, still doesn't. So for those of you who enjoy it, great for you. It's not for me. So let's move on to my next DNF, which is the one that was a little bit surprising and maybe controversial. I don't know, because I've been hearing a lot of people love this book. Just wasn't for me. All right, like I said, my next DNF was one of my most anticipated books of 2023. Horror, haunted house books. That's generally what I prefer in horror, either haunted house or psychological horror. So I thought this was going to be for me. It had a unique concept. Some of you may have already guessed what it is. I'm speaking of The September House by Carissa Orlando. Sorry, but let me explain. So this is the book where we have a couple who move into this house. They find out that it is haunted, and during the month of September, things increasingly get bad in the house. They just get worse. The walls bleed, the ghosts that are in the house wail and moan and all kind of stuff. I don't know what else happens. That's as much as I know. And so the thing that made this book different was that the wife of the couple did not want to leave. Most haunted house books and movies, people find out there's a ghost or something, they want to leave, or they try to get the ghost out. And if they can't get the ghost out, they're ready to go. In this book, she's like, I'm not leaving. So I was intrigued, like, what is going to happen? Not enough for me. Anyway, I just love this cover too. It's disappointing. I'm glad I was able to get it from my library though, and actually get a physical copy. So my main issue with this book was just the humor. It was too comical for me. I read a review on Goodreads where someone said that it was campy, and that's probably a good word to describe it. And this humor just did not work for me. It just was not creepy. It was not really cozy. It had some moments here and there, but not enough for me. And a big issue with this book for me was that the main character, Margaret, became buddies with one of the ghosts. And so this ghost that she befriends, you know, she cooks and cleans the house and stuff. And I was just like, what is this? This is not what I wanted. There are ghosts that bother her, but she's learned to live with them. So again, not really creepy. And then her husband, Hal, disappeared at some point. We don't know why. And that is a little bit of a mystery, but we don't spend much time learning about him, so why should I care why he disappeared? Their adult daughter, Catherine, calls them looking for the dad, and he's not there, and the mom doesn't have a good explanation, so she's like, I'm coming. So that gave me a little bit of intrigue, wondering what was going to happen when the daughter got there, because the mom and dad hadn't told her anything. She hadn't been there. They were living in the house for like 3 years or something like that. And she had never been to visit, so they were like, she can't find out this house is haunted. So the mom did some things to try to ensure that her daughter wouldn't have any suspicions. So I was still just curious of how this is going to work. So then when the daughter Catherine showed up, that quickly just fizzled out because they were reminiscing over old times, and she really didn't know anything was going on, at least as far as I got. So once again, nothing creepy, nothing cozy about this book. The mystery just didn't grab me. I didn't care. And once I don't care, we're done. And I actually gave this a good go. I got to page 94. I stopped at chapter 8. Once the daughter came and I realized like nothing was really going to happen, I was like, I think I'm done with this. And then I did what you know I do. I looked on Goodreads and started looking at other people's reviews who had DNF'd the book, and I agreed with them. So I was like, okay, clearly I'm not alone. I'm done. So yeah, sorry, this didn't work for me. I'm really disappointed, but I'm kind of surprised and not, because horror just doesn't really go well for me as far as books. Horror movies, yes, all day, all night. Books. So anyway, let's move on to the books I did read and enjoy during the last couple months. Okay, so you know me, I love a good illustrated children's book. And so I picked up 2 for Halloween, specifically spooky season. One of these I talked about in my October TBR. The other one I don't think I talked about because I think I decided last minute to pick it up. But these were cute, and one I enjoyed a little bit more than the other, but we'll start with Arthur's Halloween by Mark Brown. I saw this book on Cameron Chaney's channel, and when he showed some of the illustrations, I was like, oh, that looks cute. I want to read it. Now, I will admit, I have probably seen like 2 episodes of the Arthur cartoon, so I'm not really familiar with Arthur. I don't even know. Is he a mouse? What? Let me know in the comments below. There are a lot of animals in this book where I was like, what is that supposed to be? I don't even really know. But anyway, in this book, Arthur is scared of everything. He's scared of his friends in costume. He's scared of decorations. He's just not really here for all the Halloween stuff, but for some reason, he still wants to go trick-or-treating with his friends. I didn't really get it, but we going with it. Now, of course, in true fashion, his mom tells him that he has to take his little sister trick-or-treating with him. And so, you know, that's always going to be an issue. Who wants to take your little sister or brother trick-or-treating? I didn't mind when I was younger, but that was a thing for some people. So when they get out trick-or-treating, his sister is just like getting into things. She's dropping her bag of candy, you know, whatnot, just causing him a little bit of grief. And they get to this one house that's supposed to be really creepy and scary looking, and his friends tell him that a witch lives in the house. And of course, lo and behold, his sister takes off and runs up to the front door of this house and ends up going inside. So Arthur has to get some courage and decide to go after his sister because, you know, you can't leave her in there. Now, I will say this story could only take place back in the 80s because the direction it took where he just walks in this woman's house, I was like, that's not really a thing these days. Back in the day it was. You could do that and you could take food and things from neighbors. But again, people don't really do that these days. So of course, as I said, Arthur goes in the house and retrieves his sister. And of course, they learn something about this neighbor who lives in this creepy house. At the end, Arthur ends up enjoying Halloween. And I mean, like I said, it was cute because I love Halloween. It was difficult for me to read a story about somebody who just is terrified of everything and doesn't even really want to do anything dealing with Halloween. Like, I wanted cheer and celebrating Halloween. And then at the end, it was weird because Arthur decided they should take a shortcut through the cemetery home. I was like, you really put on your big boy pants. You went from not liking anything to now you want to go through the cemetery? Okay. And then it ended with a little joke. And I was like, is this just how Arthur goes? Because I didn't get it. But at the very end, he again wants to go through the cemetery. And he says, the cemetery is a great place. People are just dying to get in. And I was like, okay, that was it. Oh, look at the illustration on the back. So cute. Oh, little candy corn. So anyway, as I said, it was cute. Nothing spectacular. I am curious to see what other Arthur books there are. You know, the illustrations were good enough. They didn't really like tickle me in the way that other illustrations have in other books. But like I said, it was cozy, Halloween themed. That's what we wanted. Let's move on to the one that I enjoyed more than this one. So I am continuing with my Berenstain Bears books, and you should have already guessed that that would be the book I enjoyed more than the Arthur book. I just love my Berenstain Bears. And this one I actually took a chance on because it is written by Mike Berenstain, who is the son of Stan and Jan Berenstain. So I wasn't sure what I was going to get. Also, this book was newer. It was published in 2021, not the 80s like I was used to, but I did enjoy it. And it is the Berenstain Bears Big Halloween Party. And this was just Halloween fun. There were no morals, no, real big storyline. It was just the Berenstain Bears and all the people in Bear Country enjoying Halloween. And so it was perfect for me. I'm pretty sure I read this on Halloween Day. And like I said, it was perfect. Now, I will say I was taken by surprise by a new cub in this book. I believe this is her here, Honey. And she's a sister to Brother Bear and Sister Bear. And I was like, oh, I think I do remember a book where they talked about having a new baby, but I didn't think anything actually happened with that. Clearly, I've missed a lot. So there's 3 cubs now. Who knew? But in this book, we have bobbing for apples. There is a costume contest. Of course, there's trick-or-treating and they go through the town. Oh, this just tickled me so much. They had also some cute little games that were just for this book. They played musical tombstones. They had a pumpkin piñata. Like I said, this was just so perfect for Halloween. I would highly recommend it if you have children, or even if you don't, you're like me, you just enjoy Berenstain Bears books. Again, I enjoyed this. I would love a copy because I would reread this every Halloween. And yeah, the illustrations were pretty similar to Stan and Jan Berenstain. I could tell the difference, but it was still cute and gave me all the vibes like all the other books. So I am curious to see what else Mike Berenstain has done with the Berenstain Bears books. So now let's move on to 2 adult books that I read and a middle grade book. Okay, next we have the book that kicked off my October month spooky season. This book was written by a fellow booktuber, talked about it in my October TBR. And of course, I'm speaking of Fresh Hell, Book 1 in the Autumn Crow High series by our very own Cameron Chaney. He was kind enough to send me a signed copy for all of my support of him over the years. It has been my pleasure, Cameron. You know Autumn Crow is one of my favorite books of all time and will remain that way. So anyway, I was excited for his first full-length book. This is a YA horror book, and I took a chance because YA horror is not really my thing, but I had faith in Cameron Chaney. So this is his 2023 book release. And in this one, we follow Bailey Hagan as she is about to start the first day of her senior year of high school. And so, first day of school means fall. Also, in case you don't know, they live in the town of Autumn Crow where every day is Halloween. The whole town is just Halloween themed with the stores and all the kind of things. So I always love being in Autumn Crow. And of course, Cameron Chaney, his writing is just delicious. You can just feel his love and passion for fall because the way he describes it, I was so snuggled up and just enjoying all of it. But back to the story. In this one, Bailey keeps having these recurring, violent, horrible nightmares where just like horrible things happen to her. And she also keeps seeing this boy and she does not know why he keeps popping up in her dreams. He has like these icy blue eyes. And so she's like, what is the deal with this boy and why do I keep seeing him? So then we move on to Bailey starting her first day of school with her best friend Melody. And of course, lo and behold, they get to school and there is a new boy there named Dennis who looks exactly like the boy in her nightmares. So it's like, what is going on? Is this boy real? what is going on? Now, there's a difference between Dennis and the boy in her nightmares. Dennis has brown eyes, and as I said, the boy in her nightmares has blue eyes, but she's still just bothered by his presence. And there is a mystery of who is he? Because he just showed up. Nobody knows anything about him. Very mysterious. Then we also find out that Bailey's dad disappeared, but everybody believes he died because his truck was found and there was blood everywhere. And I was like, what? Blood everywhere? What is going on? But Bailey believes he's still alive because they never found her dad's body. She is just so bothered by the fact that her dad is gone. And again, what was left behind, it was like, what happened? So between Dennis and her dad, I was just so intrigued by these mysteries. Also, this book was so nostalgic. I did not say, but this book takes place in the year 1994. And so I was around during that time. I was just starting high school. Don't you dare do no math. But it's just so funny to me because Cameron Chaney is a lot younger than me. But the stuff that he put in this book that just reminded me of my childhood, I was like, how is this possible? How is this possible? I know he loves that time period, and that is why he reads a lot of books that take place in the 80s and the early 90s and stuff. So he's very familiar with that time period. He put the Trapper Keeper in there. If you don't know, look it up. I was like, oh, I used to love my Trapper Keeper. It was so nostalgic, just pop culture references and things he put in this book. Again, between the fall vibes and the nostalgia, I was just so tickled. Now, I will say for me, I enjoyed parts 1 and 2 more than part 3. It is different parts. In part 3, we do switch POVs to another character, and I just wasn't as into the POV of this character as I was into Bailey's POV that we got in parts 1 and 2. Also, part 3 is when we get more answers about like what happened to Bailey's dad and what's the deal with this boy Dennis, and we learn some things that are going on in the town of Autumn Crow. And what we find out is going on in the town, just, you know, it's not really my kind of horror. I realize it's a subgenre of horror that a lot of you love, but me personally, I don't really think it's my thing. I thought about like horror movies I love, and none of them include this topic. Try not to give any spoilers. And I definitely don't have horror books that involve this element. So I think that was one of the things that brought it down a little bit for me, because as I said, it's just me personally. It's just not my thing. Also, I was not happy with a direction that this took. It's just, again, me personally. But if you've ever been watching a TV show or a movie and a character that you love, something happens to them and you're like, I swear, if this character does not come back, I'm done. That's pretty much what happened to me with this book. I can't say nothing else because I don't want to spoil anything, but I just was really rooting for this character. And when things didn't go my way, I wasn't happy about it. And know that Cameron Chaney is not afraid to break your heart, take it out, stomp on it. And yeah, I really wasn't looking forward to being sad in October. If you love horror about grief and all of that, this is for you. I don't necessarily know if grief is my thing in horror either. It was just, you know, there were parts that were just very sad. And I know Cameron Chaney said that he had a hard time writing some parts of this book and had to put it down. It got heavy. I get it. But again, there was also action, and no, it is gory. It starts off gory. We get a POV of Bailey's nightmare, and the way Cameron Chaney describes the gruesome stuff that happens to her and also things that happen later in the book. Strap in. If you don't like gore in graphic detail, this probably isn't for you. I enjoyed those parts though. I probably winced a lot. It was like, ooh, I could feel it. Like I said, Cameron Chaney's writing is just top notch. So all in all, I gave this 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but like I said, I am not one who loves YA horror. And again, this element of horror that's in this book. So that's just me personally. I know a lot of people are loving this book and I get it. So yes, if you love YA horror and you love fall, and of course, want to get all the Halloween vibes, I highly recommend this book. Let's move on. Next up, we have Stormfront Book 1 in the Dresden Files series. Yes, I'm late, and this book was published in 2000. So yes, I am late, but again, I am newer to reading altogether as an adult. And this has been on my TBR for a good while, so I'm glad I finally got to it. But I mean, there are 17 books in this series so far and counting. So we'll see how far I get. We'll see. But yes, this is an urban fantasy series by Jim Butcher. And in it, we follow a wizard named Harry Dresden. So I thought that was fascinating. You know, besides Harry Potter, it's not often we're following a wizard, and yeah, an adult wizard. Now, what makes this series unique is that Harry Dresden works alongside the Chicago PD to help them solve strange cases that don't seem to be able to be explained in, normal human, non-magical terms. And in book 1, he gets called to the scene of a double homicide, and he determines that black magic was involved. So of course they need to figure out who did this so that they can be stopped. So naturally, Harry has to go investigate and figure out what's going on. At the same time, a woman named Monica Sells approaches him and asks him to help her find her missing husband. Of course, she's willing to pay. So I just enjoyed the character of Harry Dresden. I could just hang out with him in these books all day. I just enjoyed his mundane life and his personality. You know, he walks around in his little trench coat. You probably can't really see it good because this library copy is old. But yeah, once he starts investigating, we find out there's drugs involved. We also learned that there is a white council who is in charge of the magical world and keeping things in order. There's a lot going on. And I picked this for fall because I thought it would be cozy. When I read a little bit of a sample, I saw that it was raining and a little bit cold. It takes place in spring, but you wouldn't know. They don't talk about no flowers and nothing like that. Like I said, they talk about rain and cold weather and it being dreary. And so it was perfect for fall. And I did this in tandem with the audiobook narrated by James Marsters. And a lot of you had to tell me after my fall TBR video, I didn't know that James Marsters is from Buffy and the Vampire Slayer. Now, clearly, if I didn't know, it means hold on to your seats. I never watched Buffy and the Vampire Slayer. I know. I think I saw the movie and I enjoyed it, but I don't really remember. Yeah, so I didn't know. Sue me. Now with this book, I enjoyed the beginning much more than the middle because the beginning, of course, set up what was going on with him, like where he lives, him meeting up with the detective that he works with, you know, Monica Sells approaching him, just a lot of things getting set up. And I enjoyed all of that. When we get to the middle, he's more deep into the investigation and he's talking to other people. And that's when we get all these names thrown around and find out more of what's going on in this dark underground world. There's vampires and all kind of stuff. And once he starts getting involved with these other supernatural beings, it just lost a little bit for me. Like I said, I just want to follow Harry around, whether he's going to a coffee shop or he's at home working on spells. That's just what I enjoyed. We get demon creatures and action-packed scenes with those and duels with magical spells and stuff. Again, it was not like Harry Potter type of things. It was just like I said, I don't know. In this book, it just didn't do it for me. But the ending did grab my attention more because, of course, we're wrapping up things and it was very intense. So that picked it back up for me. But in the end, I ended up just giving this 3 stars. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it. And I'm hoping book 2 goes better. So I do plan to continue with the series. I don't know when, but I will check out book 2 because, like I said, I love doing this in tandem with the audiobook. So now let's move on to my 1 5-star read. Can you guess what it is? Let's see. Okay, so this book is a new favorite. I need a physical copy in my life. I borrowed this from my library, but like I said, I need it. And I'm speaking of Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson. I'm so glad so many people talked about this book and I finally picked it up, this graphic novel. Oh, it was so cute, so perfect for fall. This is a middle grade fantasy novel. It came out in 2021, so I'm not too late, but you know, hey, I read it at the perfect time for me. In this story, we follow Garlic, who you see here on the front cover, and she deals with a bit of anxiety. You know, it's just like she thinks everything is her fault. She can't do anything right. Like I said, she's just worried and anxious all the time. Poor thing. And she lives with other vegetable people, including her buddy Carrot. They grow vegetables, which are the same as them. So Garlic grows garlic, Carrot grows carrots, and etc. Now, they take their produce to market day that's in town and they sell it to townspeople, which is just so cute. Garlic and the other vegetables, they work for this witch who I guess, you know, runs everything for the market day. That's what I gathered. And one day, the vegetable people learn that a vampire moved into a nearby castle and they are terrified because they think he is going to try to kill all the townspeople. And of course, because they sell vegetables to the townspeople, they adore them. They don't want anything to happen to them. So they all gather together and they are just freaking out because they're like, what does this vampire want? He's going to kill us all. And they decide someone needs to go check out this vampire and find out his intentions. And of course, the perfect person to do it is Garlic. Naturally. So cute. Now, of course, Garlic is a nervous wreck, but she does decide to go and they send Celery to go with her because Celery was the first person to suggest that Garlic go. So they're like, well, since you volunteered her, you going with her. Now, on their way, Celery is out. He does not want to go. He is like, I never said I was going in there. I don't want any part in this. So he leaves Garlic to fend for herself. And of course, Garlic is brave and she does knock on that door and approach the vampire, the Count, to find out what his intentions are. And I will say what we find out about the vampire is not what you think. I like what Bree Paulson did with this. It was just so cute. And the vampire to me was just pimping. I loved his little outfit. I don't know if you can see, but it's here. He has his little top hat and coat. I was like, go ahead, Dad, go ahead. But anyway, the illustrations in this book are just so cute. I love them. And Bree Paulson did all the illustrations. I am already planning to read the second book, Garlic and the Witch. It's actually at my library right now. I will be picking it up tomorrow. And like I said, can't wait to read it. I was like, why is this only a duology? I need more in my life. But I did find out she has another graphic novel coming out in 2024 called The Firelight Apprentice. And I will be here for it because, again, anything with her illustrations, I love. So, as I said, 5 stars. I loved it. I've heard Garlic and the Witch is not as good as this one, but I can't wait to see. Hopefully it's a 4, close to a 5, if not 5 for me. But again, loved it. All right, my beautiful people, I am already losing daylight. Daylight savings. Where I live, it gets dark before 5 o'clock. I am not enjoying that. I love fall and winter, but this getting dark early for filming, it's difficult. But anyway, feel free to let me know in the comments if you're enjoying daylight savings. But also, if you've read any of the books that I read and, you want to chime in, let me know your thoughts. I love to know if we agree, disagree, all the things. Also, let me know what one of your favorite books were that you read in the month of October or November, or both if you so choose. And of course, to let me know that you made it this far in the video, and or if you don't have a comment, you can leave me an emoji. And naturally, I'm going to go with garlic or a carrot or celery. One of those, since that was this book. Okay. Or a vampire or a witch. One of those. All. Anyway, leave me an emoji below. And of course, I will have all the books that I talked about linked below, as well as ways you can support my channel. You can always donate towards coffee, tea, more books, and as I said, tech things I need for this channel. I did use donations to help me purchase this microphone. So every bit that you donate goes right back into this channel, and I truly, truly appreciate it so much. And I think that's all for this video, my beautiful people. So until next time, snuggle up in your hideaway with a good book, unplug as much as possible, be kind to all kind, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.